All right, this trade idea I have had for a minute. It's Evan Mobley for Jonathan Kuminga. Evan Mobley of the Cleveland Cavaliers for Jonathan Kuminga. Look, I know some people might be like, whoa, this is coming out of nowhere. Cleveland, Golden State, do they really do business together? I don't know. But it's the offseason. We're getting ready for training camp. Why not talk about it? So he's going to talk about it. But before I do, this video is being brought to you by Bridges and Stones, Family and Relationship Care. If you or someone you know is struggling with their mental health or relationships, go to bridgesandstones.com for a free consultation. Remember, one small act today can create a better tomorrow, and none of us make it alone. The reason why I like this trade, let me just start off the bat. Uh Jonathan Kuminga, I'm a huge fan of Jonathan Kuminga. I think he's going to be phenomenal. I see all NBA levels, definitely long term All Star. He has that type of talent. When you're that athletically gifted with great positional size, a great motor, a great work ethic, you've been able to stay healthy so far. Knock on wood. You continue to progress and develop as a talent, shoring up your weaknesses, sharpening your strengths, attacking, getting downhill, improving the handle, improving his reads and playmaking, and making the correct pass. He's just done it all. He rebounds at a high enough level. You might want him to rebound a little bit more, maybe closer to like 7, 6, 7, 8, rather than the 5, 6, 7 range. But it's to say it's mostly because he's guarding on the perimeter a lot of times and he doesn't get under the rim. All that's to say is this young man is going to be a monster for a long time. People forget that he was actually the number one recruit in his high school class. That included Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, Jaylen Green. He was that dude. It was him. It was him. A 6'7", 7-foot wingspan, over a 40-inch vertical. Man strength. Reminds me of Amari Stoudemire coming into the league out of high school. Was immediately as strong as most veterans. And it was a lean body strength. He didn't need to be super bulked up. He wasn't going to need to put on muscle over the summer. He came in built like that. And his game was pretty much set. Whether it was turnaround, fading, jump shots in the post, whether it was bodying cats on the way to the basket, straight line drives, pull-ups from mid-range off of closeouts, knocking down open threes, being amazing in transition or hitting the offensive glass, even able to do some pick and roll as a front court position. Jonathan Kuminga has been talented as hell for a minute. At the same time, Evan Mobley has been extremely talented. Now, I'll be frank with y'all. Evan Mobley, we all know big men take longer to develop. He dominated at USC. He had numbers, especially defensively, that we haven't seen since Anthony Davis in Kentucky, right? Evan Mobley, he measures out great, 7 feet tall. It's like a 7'6" wingspan, great soft hands, amazing footwork. He can finish with either hand, has really good athleticism, really agile and mobile, does a great job on the boards, can protect the rim, even switch out on the perimeter. He's just everything you want from the modern day big center, except for the part that he probably doesn't shoot as many threes as you want him to. But I also think a part of that is him needing to be the focal point at the center position. He's not somebody that's going to shift into the power forward position. That's not who he is, and he's shown that. He's like, look, this is who I am. Make space for me. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that because we saw the moment Jared Allen went down last year in the playoffs and it was just Evan Mobley at center, he looked outright dominant. Outright dominant. His ability to change shots at the rim, block shots, contesting shots, rebounding at a high level, finishing on the interior. He was a man amongst boys. He absolutely dominated on the interior. And going up against an Orlando Magic team that has a really strong interior, whether it's Wendell Carter Jr., whether it's Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jonathan Isaac, right, Mo Wagner, right? They have a formidable front court, and yet he not only held his own, he was dominant. He was dominant. And so I think it's become one of those situations where neither of those individuals really fit on their team. Their teams recognize their talent, and when I say teams, I mean the Golden State Warriors recognize how talented Jonathan Kuminga is, and eventually Steve Kerr and them ran out of excuses for not playing him because he just kept developing and doing all the things you asked him to do. Right? Shout out free Moses Moody hashtag. Um, but it's to say that they've been trying to make room for these guys because of their talent, but they don't have the room. They don't have the room. And right now, with this new contract agreement between the players and the team owners, that really sucks. Look, I am not a fan of salary caps. It's bullshit. Imagine going to a new job and they're like, "Hey, the maximum you can ever make here is this. You can never make more than this." And you're like, well, what do you mean? I mean, there's a bunch of people making more than that over there. Yeah, but not here. Right? You'd be like, this is some bullshit. How you gonna tell me what I can't make, what I'm not worth? I'm doing all this. I'm way better than everyone around me. I can't get a more of a raise than this. Right? It's kind of BS. But I digress. What that has done is it has placed teams in a terrible position where they are no longer able to expand with the expanding talent in the NBA. Meaning that a lot of teams who would be buyers, who would spend to bring in really good talent, can't afford to. They literally cannot afford to. And so what's ending up happening is that it becomes that much harder for teams to maneuver around creating the space that they need for the talent that's already on their team. And that has looked like playing Jonathan Kuminga between Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green. Right? Having to play an Evan Mobley alongside of a Jarrett Allen. And so I thought, well, what happens if you just switch these two? Well, let's just speak to a little bit about the fit. Jonathan Kuminga in Cleveland would be everything that they've been waiting to have. A true second scorer. A guy who you can say, hey, we're going to give you 15 to 22 shots a game. We want you to get us 25 to 30 points a game. Jonathan Kuminga is built for that. He is literally built for that. Give him the ball, get out the way. Let him make the plays. He's young, he's athletic, great motor. He has elite skill and talent. He has the ability to be that for them. And next to a Jarrett Allen, next to a Donovan Spider Mitchell, even a Darius Garland, he fits perfectly. You got Max Strus alongside of him. Dylan Swindler or Swider or something like that. I forget his name. They still got Karis LeVert. They've got other talent on that team, but they don't have somebody who can man that forward to wing position, that 3-4, who can be physical, who can be an athletic presence, who can get downhill to the rim to alleviate some of that pressure on Donovan Mitchell being the sole individual who's able to do that. Darius Garland can to an extent, but he's not the same, especially when it comes to finishing around the rim and when it comes to being able to do so when it matters most in the playoffs. At the same time, Evan Mobley with the Golden State Warriors makes all the sense in the world. You take Evan Mobley and you put him next to Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, that now returns to a top 5-10 defense in the NBA. You're now talking about the Golden State Warriors making it to possibly another NBA Finals, right? Because then you get to move somebody like a Moses Moody into a starting shooting guard role alongside of a Stephen Curry. And now you have shooting, spacing, defense, and you have balance, which is something that the Golden State Warriors, when they've won, have always had, is balance. Depth off the bench, and they've had balance in that starting lineup. And that's something that they've been struggling to find. Both of those teams. Both teams continue to get exploited in the playoffs when it's mattered the most because they have not had balance. And what this trade does is it brings balance to both teams. Right? I'm starting to get those Star Wars vibes, bringing balance to the Force, right? But that's what they've needed. That's what they've needed. Now, as always, I want to know what you all think. Do you think this trade could go down? The beautiful thing is because they're drafted right around each other, that the money matches up extremely well. I do think that the Golden State Warriors would be taking back more money, so they may have to send out another player. maybe like a Kayvon Looney or Trace Jackson Davis. Probably is going to be Trace Jackson. Um, but I think that that would still work out money wise, or Kayvon Looney. I don't think that they would mind. Um, and then they have Evan Mobley, and they have a top 5 defense. And then Cleveland would have the offense that's built to actually make noise in the playoffs. But as always, I want to know what you all think. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Drop this video in your group chats with your boys. And let me know what you think in the comment section. And I'm going to get at y'all there. Peace.